Hey guys, Mixed Media Girl here. This is going to be a resin for beginners video, so it will be a bit longer because we're going to go really into depth into everything regarding resin, okay? So to start off with, we're going to go over the different things that can be mixed into resin, which is pretty much anything that you could think of. So right here, these are mica powders from just 3 different companies. So every company, their mica powder will be a little bit different, and they'll have different varieties for colors and whatnot. This is the color Cottage, this is from Stamp On It, and this is Stone Coat Countertops, okay? And a lot of people don't know this, but eyeshadow is basically just mica powder. So if you want to be real inexpensive with your resin painting, go to the dollar store or go through your old eyeshadows that you're not using and use up some of those. Then of course there's just your basic glitter, chunky or fine or anywhere in between. Then there are different inks. This is an alcohol ink, and this is an acrylic ink. And then another thing is nail polish. Nail polish is basically an enamel paint. So that is another thing you can use to color your resin. And then lastly, of course, regular acrylic. Now here's the thing. All of these will react differently with the resin, and some of them may cause the resin to cure a little bit faster. Cure means to harden, for anyone who doesn't know. So once your resin has cured, it's of course not usable. All right, so today we're going to be using the Stone Coat Countertops Art Coat. And this is specifically designed for artwork. It comes in a part A and a part B. This is the resin and this is the hardener. Until you mix these together, you don't have something usable that will, you can paint with. And most resins, although follow the directions on the back, but most resins you would mix 50-50. So 50% hardener and 50% of the resin. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to mix this up in here. And I use these measuring cups because first of all, it makes it easy to measure. And second of all, because the plastic makes it easy to, once any leftover resin is dried, I can just pull it out and reuse it. So that way you don't have to go through a bunch of cups and throw away a bunch of cups. All right. So just equal parts resin and hardener. That is important. Otherwise it won't cure and you'll be left with a bit of a sticky mess. Okay. Now I put slightly too much hardener in there. I put a little more resin. I'm sorry, I put a little too much resin in there. I'm putting a little more hardener. Okay. And I'm not going to make you watch this whole thing because you've got to stir this. It depends on the resin. For this one, you stir it for 2 minutes, but I will explain something important. You always want to scrape the sides and scrape the bottom. So generally, I go stir, 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 scrape the sides, scrape the bottom, stir, 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 etc. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get this all stirred for a couple minutes, and then we will be right back. Okay, so our clear resin is now all stirred up. And we have about, with this resin, about a 45-minute to an hour work time. So we're going to go ahead and mix up our colors now. And we're going to use all of these options here. So an important thing is how much of whatever coloring you're using do you mix versus the resin? The answer is about 1/10. You can use less than that if you want something more translucent, but you don't want to use more than that because then it won't cure properly. So this is the alcohol ink. I'm just going to put a few drops in there. And then let's go with the acrylic ink. And I always love to put my colors in first, because then if you put too much of the color, you can take it back out. If you put the resin in first and then put the color, you can't take any out. You have to add more resin if you put too much, you know. All right, we're going with the nail polish. And this is just like dollar store stuff. Okay, that was hard to get open. So once again, we're just gonna pour a little bit in there. Let's do a little more of that. Okay, that's a glittery pink. All right, let's do some of the glitter, and this is just glitter, nothing else. Okay, then we're going to do some of the eyeshadow. This is True Colors eyeshadow. And if you'll notice, it basically looks the same as a mica powder. But you can, if you have the ones that come in the little cases, you can just break it up. It's just powder. Okay. Now we'll use some of the Stone Coat Countertops mica powder. And then we'll use some of the acrylic paint. This is the just Artist Loft regular acrylic paint. Okay. This is going to be an interesting color combination here. All right, we'll get these all mixed up. Let's go ahead and pour the resin in here. Okay, so we've got all of our colors mixed up here, and you'll see different levels of translucency, especially with the nail polish. That's pretty translucent to begin with, so that's going to be a translucent one. And then, of course, the glitter, which is just glitter. That one's fun. This is the eyeshadow, the True Colors eyeshadow. This one is the acrylic ink. It's like a turquoisey. This one is the alcohol ink. So that's also fairly translucent, guys. The alcohol inks. And then this is the Stone Coat Countertops mica powder. And this is the acrylic paint. Just the Artist Loft acrylic paint. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our resin painting here. Okay, question here. Do you have to have it raised up or can you have it flat? You can do either. Either will be totally fine. It's just a preference. Whatever you prefer is totally fine. So there is no specific required technique or anything. And this is definitely going to be an interesting combination of colors here. So we're just going to get started. This is the blue acrylic paint with resin. And just as a note, the more resin you have together in a cup, the faster it will cure. So that's just as a note. This is the acrylic ink. This is going to be a fun combination of colors together. All right, this one is the nail polish. So it's a pretty translucent, glittery color. Yeah, you can see that. That's pretty. And it definitely looks different than it looks in the bottle. The bottle looks quite pink. That's just gold. All right, here is the alcohol ink. Once again, you can see how translucent that is. Okay, and then this one is the eyeshadow, which is basically the same thing as a mica powder. As you can see, it looks just like the mica powders. This one is the mica powder, and you can see it's quite similar in consistency and everything. This is definitely an interesting set of colors here. All right, and then here we have the glitter, which is very translucent, and it's just glitter. There we go. That just will add a little bit of glitter into there. All right. So there's a couple things you could do here at this point is you could swipe it. You can also just tilt it to move it around. I prefer to heat mine up, and a couple ways you can heat it up are one, with a torch. This is a Burns-O-Matic, so you can use that to heat it up, which will make it more fluid. Heat does make it cure faster, but not fast enough to really worry too much about it. So definitely can use that to make it more fluid. You can also use a heat gun, which is generally what I prefer. And there are so many different heat guns. So I prefer the heat gun for a couple reasons. One, because I just like that I can control the temperatures more. And also I like that I can actually use it to manipulate the paint. With a torch, you don't really have that option too much. It just heats it up. It won't manipulate it at all. Really smells like nail polish in here. You will need either a torch or a heat gun. I hate to say it, but you do need one or the other because you'll want to get rid of the air bubbles in resin. And there's pretty much always going to be air bubbles, and they will dry in there as a bubble, and you won't get that perfectly flat surface. If you want to do resin and you absolutely can't acquire either, although I will say like a torch lighter, even a mini butane torch lighter, you can get from the gas station for like $5 or Walmart for like $2 or whatever, you know. So I would at least pick one of those up. If you can't acquire either of those, you can always go in there with a toothpick and just individually get rid of the air bubbles. Another thing you can use is a hairdryer. That won't get rid of the air bubbles, but it can be fun to manipulate the resin with a hairdryer. So we're going to now go over this with a torch again to get rid of any additional air bubbles. Okay, one more word to the wise. You just need to go over it very quickly. You can entirely burn the resin or even light your painting on fire, which you definitely don't want to do. So as with any heat source, just practice safety. All right, we're going to do a quick close-up here without those lights glaring in it. So let's start with the bottom right corner. You can see those cells in there and that glitter. Let's go up here. More pretty cool cells. This is definitely fun combination here. And I used 3 different translucent colors in here, so we got quite a bit of translucency throughout there. Let's give you the overall here. And there we go. All right. This will now take about 24 hours to dry. So you need to make sure it's on a completely level surface. And yeah, that's about it. After that, you can put more layers over it. You can paint over it with regular acrylic paints. You can do all kinds of things. So it's totally up to you, but it's also very interesting to see how these all reacted together. As you can see, there's some little cells in there. And this came out pretty cool, despite me not really paying much attention to what colors I was using. So hopefully this answers pretty much all of your questions about resin. I'll also put like a detailed instruction sheet in the description. Let me know if you have any other questions that I didn't cover regarding resin. And otherwise, don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time.